We all know Frodo could never have destroyed the ring without Sam. But what if together they could turn every meal into cards, Lifegain, and an unstoppable ring bearer? That's exactly what Frodo and Sam do best. And once the ring starts calling, your opponents start falling. Hi everyone, I'm Full Harmonicon, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're joining two of Middle-earth's greatest heroes for a deck built around food, friendship, and temptation of the ring. So pull up a chair and make room for second breakfast, because our partner commanders are Frodo, Adventurous Hobbit, and Sam, Loyal Attendant. And if you enjoy making piles of food, getting a whole lot of life, and eventually draining your opponents out of the game, this deck is for you. Frodo, Adventurous Hobbit, is a 1/3 Halfling Scout with Vigilance for just 2 mana. Whenever he attacks, if we've gained 3 or more life that turn, the ring tempts us. The ring tempting you means choosing a creature to become your ring bearer and receiving an emblem called the ring. Each time you are tempted, the emblem gains another ability and keeps every ability it's already unlocked. First, our ring bearer cannot be blocked by creatures with greater power than it. Second, whenever our ring bearer attacks, we draw a card, then discard a card. Third, whenever our ring bearer becomes blocked by a creature, that creature's controller sacrifices it at the end of combat. And fourth, whenever our ring bearer deals combat damage to a player, each opponent loses 3 life. Then, if Frodo is our ring bearer and the ring has tempted us at least twice, we also draw a card. Sam, Loyal Attendant, is a 2/4 Halfling Peasant for 3 mana, and he has, at the beginning of combat on your turn, he creates a food token. Sam also makes activated abilities of food cost 1 mana less, so most of our food tokens only cost a single mana to crack. These commanders both have partner with each other, and their abilities fit perfectly together. Sam supplies the food and discounts it. That food gains exactly 3 life, turning on Frodo when he attacks. From there, the ring helps him attack more safely, then adds even more card draw once we've been tempted twice, and eventually drains the whole table. If you enjoy synergy-focused commander breakdowns like this, hit that subscribe button. There's plenty more on the way. The game plan is straightforward. First, we cast our commanders early. We want Sam making food and Frodo being tempted by the ring as soon as possible. Next, we build a larger food engine. Those tokens keep our life total high, fuel our card draw, and trigger payoffs that slowly pull us ahead of our opponents. And finally, we drain our opponents whenever we gain life, attack with a fully powered up ring bearer, or assemble one of our infinite life gain and damage combos. The easiest way to keep this engine running is to make far more food than we could ever eat. Pippin, Warden of Isengard, lets us pay 1 mana and tap him to create a food. Later, we can sacrifice food to give the rest of our creatures a serious power boost. Merry, Warden of Isengard, partners with Pippin and creates a 1/1 soldier whenever we create 1 or more food tokens. Those soldiers become excellent targets for Pippin's team-wide boost. Samwise Gamgee creates a food whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under our control. We can also sacrifice 3 foods to return a historic card from our graveyard to our hand. Rapacious Guest creates food whenever one of our creatures deals combat damage to a player. It grows whenever we sacrifice food, and when it dies, one opponent loses life equal to its power. Farmer Cotton gives us a huge burst of tokens, creating X food tokens and X 1/1 halflings based on how much mana we invest. Treebeard, Gracious Host, creates 2 foods when it enters, and then whenever we gain life, it also puts that many +1/+1 counters on a target halfling or treefolk. Meriadoc Brandybuck creates a food whenever 1 or more halflings attacks a player. Since Frodo wants to attack every turn, this should trigger reliably. Midnight Snack creates a food at the end of our turn if we've attacked. Later, we can sacrifice it to make an opponent lose life equal to the amount of life we've gained that turn. Academy Manufactor is completely absurd here. Whenever we would create a food, clue, or treasure, we get 1 of each instead. So a single food trigger suddenly becomes life gain, card draw, and extra mana. Once the food is flowing, we need cards that reward us for creating and sacrificing those tokens. Mirkwood backs drains each opponent whenever we create or sacrifice a token. Both halves of that ability will trigger constantly here. Nuka-Cola vending machine creates food and gives us a tap treasure whenever we sacrifice food, turning our Lifegain engine into extra mana. Rosie Cotton of South Lane creates a food when she enters, but whenever we create a token, she also puts a +1/+1 counter on another creature. Bobo, Birthday Celebrant, makes us gain 1 additional life whenever we gain life. If we reach 111 life, we can exile him to put any number of creature cards from our library directly onto the battlefield. Banquet Guest enters with counters based on the number of foods we control, while Feasting Hobbit lets us sacrifice food as it enters for a massive boost. Both can become dangerous threats by themselves. Essence Warden and Prosperous Innkeeper give us life gain that's not tied directly to food, keeping our life total climbing as creatures enter. Golem, Obsessed Stalker, remembers each opponent, its damage, and at the end of our turn, those players lose life equal to the amount of life we've gained that turn. Then, we have our major combo finishers. Sanguine Bond, Veto, Thorn of the Dusk Rose, and Enduring Tenacity each make an opponent lose life whenever we gain life. Pair any of those with Exquisite Blood or Bloodthirsty Conqueror, and we create a loop. We gain life, an opponent loses life, that loss gains us more life, and the cycle repeats until every opponent is out of the game. The deck also has plenty of synergistic ways to keep our hand full. What would a Frodo deck be without the One Ring? It's already an incredible source of cards, and the life loss is much easier to manage when we're constantly gaining life. Call of the Ring tempts us on each of our upkeeps, unlocking the ring's abilities much faster, but it can also turn some extra life into extra cards. Belladonna Took rewards us for creating multiple tokens in a turn. The first gains us life, the second draws us a card, and the third buffs our entire board. Peregrine Took creates an additional food whenever we create 1 or more tokens, and we can sacrifice 3 foods to draw a card. Tippy Toe Terrific Partner also adds another food whenever we create tokens, then draws us a card at the end of our turn if we've gained life. The Gaffer and Halia, Guided by Light, both reward us for getting 3 life in a turn, which conveniently is the exact amount provided by a normal food token. Savvy Hunter creates food when it enters or attacks and lets us sacrifice 2 foods to draw a card. Greta, Sweet Tooth Scourge, lets us pay mana and sacrifice a food to draw, while also offering a counter-based mode when we need an extra threat. Well of Lost Dreams lets us pay mana whenever we gain life to draw that many cards. Cracking a food can therefore become 3 life and up to 3 new cards. For interaction, we're in some of the best removal colors in Commander. Mortality Spear can cost just 2 mana if we've gained life that turn, and it destroys any non-land permanent. The Battle of Bywater destroys every creature with power 3 or greater, leaving many of our smaller creatures behind. It then creates a food for each creature we still control. Toxic Deluge is already a flexible board wipe, and our high life total makes its additional cost much easier to manage. Hobbit Sting deals damage to a creature equal to the number of creatures we control plus the number of foods we control. The rest of the package includes staples like Swords to Plowshare, Path to Exile, Nature's Claim, Assassin's Trophy, D-Spark, and Anguished Unmaking. Our ramp package also supports the main game plan. Bilbo, Fellow Conspirator, creates a treasure token whenever we create 1 or more food tokens. Since we're making food tokens throughout the game, those treasures add up quickly. Gilded Goose enters with the food, can create more food, and can sacrifice food to produce mana, all for just 1 mana. Tireless Provisioner creates either a food or a treasure whenever a land enters under our control. Early on, we can take the treasure for ramp. Later, we can choose food to fuel the deck. Prize Pig taps for mana and untaps whenever we gain 3 or more life. With Sam reducing the cost of the food, the pig can repeatedly untap while eating through our food supply. Eleanor Gardener enters with the food, then at the beginning of our end step, if we sacrifice the food that turn, she finds a basic land and puts it onto the battlefield tapped. Knight of Sweet's Revenge enters with a food and lets all our food tap for green mana. We can also sacrifice it to give a creature a boost based on the number of food we control. Heaped Harvest is itself a food. It finds a basic land when it enters and later can be sacrificed to find another basic land. We round things up with Nature's Law, Farseek, and 3 visits. And finally, a few lands that support the strategy. The Shire lets us tap an untapped creature to create a food token. Rogue's Passage and Access Tunnel can both help Frodo get through blockers. That means another ring trigger, another card, or 3 life lost by each opponent once the ring is fully unlocked. Frodo, Adventurous Hobbit, and Sam, Loyal Attendant are exactly what a partner pair should be. Sam keeps the food flowing and our life total high, while Frodo turns that life gain into card advantage and ring temptation. The deck feels surprisingly resilient because we're constantly padding our life total, and both commanders are cheap enough that removal rarely keeps us out of the game for long. Even if one of them is taken out, we can usually recast it and return to our game plan almost immediately. It's flavorful, synergistic, and one of the most satisfying ways to build around food in Commander. Thanks so much for watching. If this breakdown helped you, hit that like, subscribe for more synergy-focused Commander content, and comment which card you think I missed. Channel members help vote on future videos, and you can find the full deck list and my TCG Player affiliate link down below. And until next time, may you always have breakfast, second breakfast, 11sies, lunch, afternoon tea, dinner, and supper.